Książ Castle in Wałbrzych, 800 years of history and still the finest location in the region, spanning 16,000 square meters. It is the third largest castle in Poland, after the Wawel Castle in Kraków and the Castle of Malbork. Książ Castle was built in 1293 by Duke Bolko I the Strict of the native Piast dynasty. Later, the castle came under the rule of the kings of Bohemia, and from 1509 until 1944, it was in the hands of the aristocratic Hochberg von Pless family. In 1944, the castle was taken over by the Third Reich, becoming part of the secret Riese project. It was being prepared to be the headquarters for the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with showcase rooms for Hitler, Goering, and Goebbels. Following the end of World War II, the castle was restored by the Polish state. Today, it is one of the greatest tourist attractions in southern Poland. We warmly invite you to visit the Książ Castle in Wałbrzych. There's no other place quite like it in Europe. Our tour of the Książ Castle begins on the first floor, while the ground floor houses administrative rooms. The first floor features the piano nobile, the representative part of the castle, where great historic figures were often received. These are the imperial stairs, used by the kings of Prussia, German emperors, Russian tsars, and even Winston Churchill, who visited Książ 3 times. Churchill was a relative of Princess Daisy, the castle's most famous resident. This is the Baroque section of the castle, though its architecture is a mix of styles. One will find Gothic, Renaissance, Baroque, and even 20th century wings here. On the first floor, an alabaster bust of Count Konrad Ernst Maximilian von Hochberg, who lived here in the early 18th century and gave the castle its predominantly Baroque style. The most tragic period in the castle's history came during World War II, especially in the 1944 to 1945 years, when it was being adapted for the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Much of the original interior was destroyed or removed. Thanks to cooperation with the national museums in Wrocław and Poznań and others, the castle is gradually recovering original pieces which once belonged to Książ. Among the recovered items is a cabinet of curiosities, showcasing 8 display cases from the 1730s, specially commissioned by Count Maximilian von Hochberg. Enlightened noblemen of the 18th century would often have such a room to collect rare and mysterious objects. Here you'll find historical glassware, geological specimens, a cave bear skull, a real meteorite, and fossils of ancient crustaceans. Also on display are a valuable English clock, Asian art, Silesian Baroque painter Wielmann's palette, and personal items from the Hochbergs, such as an original lace from Princess Daisy, made in the lace-making school of Jelenia Góra. Also displayed are a silver-capped syrup bottle and a ducal seal. Books from the Majorat Library are among the most valuable. In 1945, the castle's library held over 64,000 volumes, many of which were later taken to the Soviet Union. Only a few have since returned.
We are now in the Green Salon, which took its final form during the Grand Reconstruction by Prince Jan Henryk XV, carried out between 1909 and 1922. That is when the castle and its terraces gained the appearance admired today. Just ponder at the magnificent neo-Rococo stucco work. You'll also see portraits of the Hochberg daughters and a beautiful fireplace made from Carrara marble, one of the most expensive marbles imported from Italy.
The Maximilian Hall directly connects to the White Salon. Note the orchestra balconies. Many film productions have been shot here. Since the 1960s, Książ has been a favorite among filmmakers. Notable productions include The Countess Kossel, The Leper, Papusha, and the Oscar-winning The Zone of Interest. The White Salon, located on the southeastern side of the first floor, features a delightful painting of squirrels, guinea pigs, and hedgehogs by Ernest Wilhelm Bernardi, court painter for the Hochbergs in the 18th century. He painted both the noble family and the animals living in the area. The furniture here comes from the Grand Hotel Hochberg in Szczawno-Zdrój and was brought here after the war. Moving on to the Oriental Salon, decorated with tapestries made in the early 1970s. These were created by Professor Wnukowa from the Academy of Fine Arts in Gdańsk. The room was formerly used as an anteroom, where guests waited before entering the princely salons. These 1970s tapestries are now considered fine art and are protected by the Heritage Conservator, like everything at Książ Castle. The Crooked Hall, located in the southern wing on the first floor, is one of the oldest medieval spaces in the castle. It has been remodeled many times and features wall paintings from 1913, now partly restored, and a fireplace imported from Italy, as with many others throughout the castle. They were brought here from Florence by Prince Hans Heinrich XV in the early 20th century, but the most valuable piece is a series of paintings from the 1670s. Their author was the Tyrolean painter Stefan Kessler. These depict life at a late Baroque aristocratic court, showing the four seasons as well as the biblical parable of the prodigal son. This beautiful interior was severely damaged by the Nazis in 1944, losing its neo-Gothic vaulting and original flooring. The organization Tot, which barbarically remodeled the castle between 1944 and 1945, discarded many original furnishings into the ravine and river beneath the castle. Restoration of the hall is ongoing. The hunting hall is part of the castle located in the old Renaissance wing known as the Longhouse. Displayed are hunting trophies reflecting the traditions of the Hochberg family, who hunted not only at Książ but also in the Pszczyna Duchy, where their second castle and estate was located in Upper Silesia. Here we find the marriage coat of arms of Prince Hans Heinrich XV and Princess Daisy, the most famous resident of the castle. Note the large ceiling and the heraldic wall in the black courtyard, adjacent to the hunting hall. There we can see the coats of arms of all the castle's owners from its origins: the Piast dynasty, Bolko, the Czech kings from the Přemysliv and Habsburg dynasties, and of course the Hochbergs. There is also the coat of arms of Hungarian king Matthias Corvinus, because at the beginning of the 16th century, Książ was a Hungarian castle. It was conquered by King Matthias Corvinus of Hungary. The Conrad Hall was formerly a medieval aula, a place for feasts and meetings, a truly old space also destroyed by the Nazis in 1944. At that time, beautiful neo-Baroque stuccos were removed, now preserved only in the antechamber to Conrad Hall. But today, in cooperation with the National Museum in Wrocław, portraits of historical rulers of Silesia through various historical periods are displayed. Native Piast princes like Bolko II the Small and Duke George of Brzeg, as well as German and Austrian emperors from the Habsburg family, Czech kings and princes, and one of the largest paintings in Polish collections, Wilhelm von Lindenschmidt the Younger's depiction of Alaric the Goth entering Rome in 410 AD. The apartments of Princess Daisy are located in the castle's southeastern wing on the second floor. This is a beautiful sunlit space that Daisy chose as her living quarters. The apartments consist of a drawing room, bedroom, boudoir, and bathroom. With an investment exceeding $500,000, the restoration was completed in 2023. These rooms were destroyed during World War II by the Nazis. In 1944, their furnishings were thrown into the Pelchnica Gorge, requiring full reconstruction, including architecture, furniture, and tables. Upholstery fabrics were sourced from Italy, curtains from France. The chandeliers are complemented by original French furniture, though these are replicas. Original items are also presented, like the graphics acquired from private collections and precious deposits from the Hochberg family, who maintain close cooperation with the Książ Castle. Here we see Princess Daisy's belt, in which she was portrayed in her 1903 portrait by Alice Roberts. The belt is adorned with turquoise stones. In the next display, beneath the window, is her diary, an original handwritten journal. She published 3 volumes of memoirs, giving us deep insight into her daily life at Książ. These keepsakes were donated by her great-granddaughter, Countess Felicitas von Hochberg, fulfilling the wish of her late father, Prince Bolko von Pless, who passed away in 2022. He was a great friend of Poland and an honorary citizen of Wałbrzych. The large bedroom of Princess Daisy was recreated in 2023. This room gained a balcony at the princess's request. A fireplace, now on the other side of this room, was moved here for her. She took it with her when she relocated in 1940 to her final villa in Wałbrzych, where she lived until her death in 1943. But this room had been her most private sanctuary. In it are precious paintings, a series of landscapes depicting the Wałbrzych mountains, painted by the court artist of the last German emperor, Georg Marschall. Also a beautiful portrait by Austrian painter Leopold Schmutzler showing Princess Daisy's youngest son, Hans Heinrich XVII, known as Bolko, a tragic figure. He died at age 26 after being imprisoned by the Gestapo. In this portrait, he appears as a boy with a white wolf. Legend has it that this wolf was real and tamed at Princess Daisy's request. Another priceless artifact in the room is the golden cane from India, which Princess Daisy received in 1896 from the Maharaja of Cooch Behar during her visit to the Indian subcontinent. He would go on to visit Książ later. This bedroom is filled with intimate items, including a privately purchased mirror in which the princess once viewed herself, and portraits of her beloved family, her husband, 3 sons, Hans Heinrich XVII, Alexander, and Bolko, as well as her brother and parents. Her mother's portrait, on loan from Countess Felicitas, along with a diorama of Książ Castle, an icon of St. George, and keepsakes returned thanks to the goodwill of the Hochbergs, with whom the castle enjoys excellent relations. The old prince's apartments are in the castle's northeastern wing, on the second floor. Here lived Prince Hans Heinrich XI, Princess Daisy's father-in-law. He died in 1907 and was among the family's wealthiest and most business-savvy members. He led the foundation for the Hochberg Empire. This family became one of Europe's wealthiest due to hard coal mining, Wałbrzych's black gold, extracted from the late Middle Ages until 1996, when the last cut of coal left the Wałbrzych mines. The splendor of Książ Castle and its exceptional art collections stem from the Hochberg's immense wealth. After the imperial Hohenzollerns and the steel magnate Krupps, the Hochbergs were Europe's 3rd wealthiest family. In this salon, once shared with his second wife Matilda, are precious early 18th century paintings showing the Hochbergs' favorite animals. One shows the dog Trotz, owned by Count Konrad Ernst Maximilian. Another fascinating piece from 1707 depicts a one-antlered doe, considered a mythical unicorn. The Count had it painted. The Hochbergs owned 4 private towns, Wałbrzych, Miroszów, Świebodzice, and Boguszów, together with 32 villages. Their estates stretched to the Czech border in the south.
Książ, through the lens of the Hochbergs' court chef, Message Jorbler is a unique exhibit displayed in 7 rooms on the castle's first floor in the former imperial apartments. It includes over 1,000 photographs brought to Książ Castle in 2016 by then-President Krzysztof Urbański, myself and a colleague from Radio Wrocław. We embarked on a mission to recover the castle's lost photographs. We already knew they were in Canada. We found their current owner, Miss Jean Wessel, granddaughter of the Hochberg's court chef. From 1909 to 1932, he not only cooked for the princely family, but also, as a talented amateur photographer, documented the life at the castle. His beautiful photos immortalized the princely family, castle staff, maids, footmen, stable workers, kitchen staff, and the magnificent surroundings and nature of Książ. These photographs are also extremely valuable to us from a reference perspective, because since the late 1960s, a process of restoration has been underway at Książ Castle to bring back its early 20th century appearance. Thanks to high-resolution, high-quality photographs, we are able to reconstruct textiles. We can even identify the titles of the books on the shelves. The images are such good quality that they have become an immense source of knowledge. The exhibition enjoys great popularity, and all descriptions are available in 3 languages: Polish, English, and German. At the beginning of the 20th century, Louis Audun managed to achieve a 3D effect, as the photos were recorded on glass plates known as diapositives. To view them, a device called a stereoscope is needed. Today, only one company in London still manufactures them, but we have acquired 8 of them for the exhibition, and visitors are welcome to use them.
The Książ Castle terraced gardens consist of 10 cascading terraces on the southern side, featuring 38 fountains. The western terrace is the culminating terrace that completes this beautiful route. The western elevation of the castle was completed in 1914. The architect of this castle wing was Walter von Moltke, a Viennese architect. At the top, one of the largest heraldic cartouches in Silesia, representing the coats of arms of Elu Delavar and the Hochberg von Pless family, that is, Princess Daisy and Prince Hans Heinrich XV. The large windows belong to the ballroom. This part of the castle was inspired by the Heidelberg Castle. One can also find the George Tower, the White Tower, and the exit of the utility tunnel on the level of the so-called Donkey Road. Książ Castle is not just its impressive architecture, nor its beautiful French-style terraced gardens or the Książ Landscape Park. It also boasts a tourist route of underground tunnels over 2 kilometers long, opened in 2018. These tunnels were excavated by prisoners from the Grossrosen subcamp that was located in the park area. Arbeitslager Fürstenstein was built under horrific conditions as part of the Third Reich's secret Riese project. Today, the underground areas are hugely popular. According to many, one weekend is not enough to explore everything here. What is often recommended is staying for at least a week to also explore Wałbrzych. With a joint Explore Wałbrzych ticket available at the castle, one can also visit the Palm House, the Old Coal Mine, the Porcelain Museum, and the Viewing Tower. Together, they form a connected cluster of tourist attractions. At Książ Castle, several narrative lines are followed. Of course, the most famous resident was Princess Daisy, whose story is told here in many ways. But the legend of the Gold Train has also brought over 500,000 tourists each year to the castle. In 2015, 10 years ago, international media reported on the supposed Nazi gold train that had disappeared in the final days of World War II, somewhere between the 61st and 65th kilometer of the Wrocław-Jelenia Góra railway line, that is, in the area around Książ. That train is still being searched for. 2025 Summer Festival of Secrets is themed The Gold Train, 10 years later. But Książ Castle is, most notably, about the treasures found above ground, the heritage passed on to future generations in even better condition. The central terrace boasts a view that was hidden for over 80 years. In 2025, the last of the restored fountains were reactivated. Thanks to preserved fountain models, drawings, and correspondence with the sculptor, it was possible to recreate the fountains in their original form. Now, all 38 Książ fountains are refreshing visitors as well as impressing with their beauty. Książ Castle is a city within a city. You've already seen the castle's interiors, but don't forget about the Książ Landscape Park, the ruins of the old castle on the other side of the valley, the palm house with plants from 5 continents, the stables housing 300 Silesian horses, 3 hotels, 3 restaurants. A place that's not just a museum, but a site for relaxation and events. You can get married here, host a conference, or hold a concert. The castle is entirely owned by the municipality of Wałbrzych and financially self-sufficient. We warmly invite you to Książ, where you can travel through time and feel like royalty.